Morning. Apologies, I will be presenting in English. My Italian is not good enough to present in, I'm afraid, so apologies for that. I'm here to talk to you about the role of investors in digital transformation. And first of all, a quick overview of Investcorp. We're Europe's oldest mid-market private equity investor, active since '84, deployed 6.7 billion, and we're 18 investment professionals based out of London. Since the crisis, we've worked in 8 countries, and we have a very pleasing IRR. The companies that we look for are local heroes with global ambitions. We look in the 10 to 30 million EBITDA range, work in a range of sectors, and typically we hold for 4 to 6 years. The way that we're structured is that we have a dedicated post-acquisition team that's staffed by 4 generalists and 1 specialist, and I'm the specialist. We have a group of advisory directors who are culled from a multitude of industries and have amazing CVs who advise us. We also focus on non-executive directors. So in the case of Deneze, we have Frederick Lukov from Stella McCartney as a non-exec on that board. And we obviously work with a range of external partners, EY being one. Our objective is to double EBITDA during our ownership period. And here's a range of Italian investments, both past and present. I'm sure that you recognize many of them. So, before we talk about how investors can accelerate transformation, it's worth looking at what transformation means. So for different companies, it will mean different things. Some it will be e-commerce, some it will be around CRM and customer data. Others, it's around improving information, sophisticating the IT structure, working on ERPs. There's also a holistic view to this. So there are areas that we expect to be impacted, like IT, like e-commerce. But what we see is that there's a trickle-down effect. So the supporting departments, as one department or project gets underway, they're unable to keep up. And a digital transformation obviously therefore has to flow through many different departments for it to be successful. So where do we start and how do we evaluate investment? Well, the most dangerous phrase is we've always done it this way. Digital transformation requires different things. It requires different views. It requires different thinking. It requires different data points. It requires different people. And there are no rules to this. There's no cookie-cutter approach. There's no history, no textbook. So we are living through this, and we are all of us trying to figure out what is the right thing for the company. Investors can help management teams step out of the day-to-day. It's easier said than done, but actually taking a long-range view of the industry, of the competitors, can be hugely beneficial, especially when thinking about where to transform and what to do. We also bring a different view. So we have a lot of experience in different companies that we've worked in, different industries that we've worked in, and that can challenge the status quo, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. So when an investor enters the conversation, they will start asking questions. And these questions are designed to understand the company, but also help us understand, on the digital side of things, what should be transformed, where should we be looking, and how quickly can we move? There are questions like, what should the future of the company look like? Where is the business plan taking us? Where is the industry moving? Investors have a long-term view, and they're very focused on their exit point. Investors are also highly qualified to ask these questions. You may not know this, but in a typical process, an investor will have done 3, 6, 9 months worth of homework, looking at the industry, looking at the competitors, before they even speak to you. So they are normally fairly well informed about what is going on in your industry. Then there are practical and pragmatic questions. What do we invest in? Where do we focus limited resource? How do we right-size that for the company? And then there's the difficult questions. How much is this going to cost? What's the payback? Typically, and I am asked this question a lot, the answer is more than you want, but less than you expect. The thing that you have to balance this against is, what is the cost of not doing a transformation? What is the cost of not investing in digital? So we work very closely with the company to define this vision. So Investcorp and actually many other investors now are beginning to set up in this way. We have a digital specialist, which is myself, and I have 20 plus years experience of digital transformation in Europe, in the UK, in the US, working across e-commerce, CRM, IT, big data. I have the first-hand experience that I can bring to a company's assistance. I also have a good network. There's no digital professional that can answer every question. I don't know the answers to all questions, but if I don't, I know someone who does. And so I'm able to bring plug-and-play resource into the companies that I work with. I also work very closely with the management team, and actually down to operator level. I have been involved in recruiting for various companies, and actually holding weekly workshops, weekly calls on how projects are progressing. I'm essentially the digital champion for many of the companies that I work with. The next area is good governance. Investors can bring a different lens to view your company through. The experience that they have can be very useful in assessing where you should be investing. They also seek the truth. They will ask hard questions. They expect good answers. If you don't have a good answer, it probably means you don't understand it properly, and that therefore there will be more research to be done in that area. Our advisory directors are our big brains. They've been through this in many different companies, and they're there to help us figure it out. You are not on your own when you're working with an investor. There's a reporting focus. Digital requires different data points, different KPIs, and investors are naturally report hungry. We're not involved in the day-to-day. We don't know what yesterday's sales were like, so we really need good reports. And this drive to improve reporting leads to better information in the company. Better information in the company means better decisions, quicker decisions. We can accelerate the process that we go through. And then we have medium to long-term goals. We typically hold for 4 to 6 years, which means that a 3-year digital transformation program doesn't scare us. It's something that we can support. It's something that we can invest in. And also, we can absorb short-term earnings impacts. If we're over-investing in an area because we know that we need to transform it, we know that we need to drive this area for the future, this is something that investors can help with. So, what does this boil down to? A number of practical aspects, cultural aspects. Practical aspects are we can help fast-track the learning. We can help fast-track development. We can bring plug-and-play resource. We can help with problem-solving and crisis management. And on the cultural side is arguably the most difficult area. It's very lonely being a CEO or the head of an organization that doesn't want to change. And so what we can do is we can bring industry knowledge and experience. What is going on in the industry? Why must we change? We can challenge expectations. We can challenge the KPIs. And we can assist and support the cultural change through a digital champion like myself. So very quickly, this is a very high-level framework of how we go about things. But essentially, we identify. We look to identify where we need to invest, what we should be, and what that should look like. We then define what is the investment, what are the areas, what is the project team. We can go down to quite rigorous detail, understanding what is required, what is the investment required, what is the time required, and who are the right partners to bring in, which comes on to connect. We can connect to other portfolio companies, we can connect to shared services deals, and we can connect to tried and trusted suppliers that we know. in digital, it is a very fast-moving and very new area. There are lots of companies who say they can do everything. There are not many companies who can actually deliver the right things. And this is one thing that we have filtered quite heavily. And finally, we support. Working with Investor is a partnership. If you do well, we do well. So we are here to help. So very quickly, because I am out of time, Danese is one of the companies that I work very closely with. Last year, we decided to in-house our e-commerce operation. There was nothing. There was no website, no supply chain, no fulfillment, no skills, no reporting. We started from scratch. In 9 months, working very closely with the marketing director, the IT director, and the CEO, we built a channel we essentially built a new channel. One of the things that we did after that, one of the things that I did during that was I actually was involved very heavily in the interviewing process. The problem that we had was that there are a lot of good, enthusiastic people out there, but they don't have much experience. And so we have taken a number of people on who are learning and are growing and are very good at what they do, but I'm able to bring experience to round out their learning. The idea is that as we go forward, we'll be able to promote from within. I'm done. Okay, thank you. Apologies. Okay, thank you.